Kurt Russell is one of the very best-looking and most talented main men in Hollywood. Yes, he is. He has also been in more than 90 movies in the last 50 years. In 2025, Kurt Russell sleeps on couches in wineries and hops old planes first thing in the morning. Many movie roles were offered to him, but he turned them down to work on something else. There was his wine business, his collection of cars, and his secret political talks. His real money, though, comes from things that Hollywood doesn't want you to know. He is now worth $110 million. You'll be shocked by how he built it, though. Kurt Russell was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, on March 17, 1951. It was in the middle of one of the worst blizzards the area had seen in decades. It got down to 15s outside. There was 28 inches of snow. The roads were closed. The actor Bing Russell and dancer Louise Julia Russell had to stay in Mercy Hospital for 3 more days after he was born. Everything changed because of that wait. During his unplanned stay, Bing got a letter offering him a job in California. In just 6 weeks, the family packed up and moved to Hollywood from the snow. Things might have been very different for them if not for that storm. Kurt Russell might not have become famous either. But Kurt's family loved baseball long before he worked on movie sets. Bing Russell did more than just act. It was 1948 when he signed with the New York Yankees farm system. Each month he made $400, which is about $4,800 today. He worked hard at baseball until 1949, when a collision at home plate broke his shoulder and finished his career. He then became an actor, but baseball was always in his heart. The Portland Mavericks were bought by Bing for $67,000 in 1973. The team was made up of outcasts, old pros, college dropouts, and even players. Baseball for fun is what they live by. Kurt spent his summers with the team as a kid and loved how rough and free the game was. He hit .563 by high school and was getting aid offers from colleges. There was baseball in the blood of the Hollywood action star. Kurt tried out for a movie called Safe at Home when he was only 9 years old. It starred his hero Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. He knew every single stat: 556, 298 hits, and the 1956 Triple Crown. In the San Fernando Valley that day, it was 90 degrees. He did everything he could, but the people in charge of casting thought he looked too sure of himself and too smart. They didn't want a kid with big eyes, or someone who looked like he belonged on the field with Mickey. Brian Russell beat him to the part, but Russell had nothing to do with Kurt and gave a flat performance. The movie did not do well at all. But there was someone else in the room. A Disney scout named Bill Walsh saw something great in Kurt's performance. That turndown set the stage for Kurt's future at Disney. After only 3 years, he got his first movie part. In 1963, it took place at the World's Fair. It was his job to hit Elvis Presley in the shin. To the point. He was 48 years old, 11 years old, and only 78 lb. Elvis was a well-known figure. The scene was taken in Seattle in October, when it was very cold and 34 beta dirty. Elvis had to have 17 takes. That was 17 good kicks. Kurt kicked a little too hard on one of those takes. Elvis laughed. The boss didn't show it. He was paid $250 for the day, which is about $2,400 today. That one scene stuck with him. He liked Elvis. The crew did the same. Someone else noticed too. The real Walt Disney. In 1963, Disney was watching old footage himself and saw Kurt's short showing. He saw a time when Kurt made up a line on the spot. It worked even though it wasn't in the plan. Disney liked it so much that he told his staff to find the kid who hit Elvis. Yes, they did. The deal was worth $1 million and was signed on Valentine's Day, February 14, 1964. $75 million, which is about $17.5 million today. Disney has never had a youth contract that was so long and so expensive. Kurt was 15 years old when he played in Follow Me Boys. He was on track to become Disney's biggest star of the 1970s. Walt Disney himself said, "I see a 15-year-old boy with a great acting future ahead of him." That statement was made in Walt's last movie, before he died in December 1966. Kurt's success got a lot of help from the studio, which put him in hits like The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, Now You See Him, Now You Don't, and The Strongest Man in the World. People loved him, the movies made money, and Disney's money was well spent. It came out in cinemas in 1971 as The Barefoot Executive. It came out on Kurt's 20th birthday. He played a mailroom worker who learns that a monkey can tell what TV shows people will like. It sounded crazy, but the plan worked. The movie was a big surprise hit. It had Harry Morgan, Joe Flynn, and even a young John Ritter in it. Some of it was filmed in Long Beach, and the rest was at Disney's studio. It was backed by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. For years, Disney showed it on The Wonderful World of Disney. Funny Little Movies showed Kurt could carry a movie. Kurt met Goldie Hawn on a movie, set a long time before they became movie stars. The year was 1966. She was 21 years old. He was only 16 years old. The one and only real original family band was being filmed. Goldie thought he was cute, but he was too young. They didn't say much. They both promised not to date other stars. But after 17 years, everything was different. In 1983, they got back together while trying out for Swing Shift. Kurt was drunk when he got there. "Man, you've got a great body," were his first words to her. Most actors would have stormed out, but Goldie laughed. They went on one date, then another. They've been together for more than 40 years, but have never married. Wyatt Russell was their son, born in 1986. Kurt did more than just act. He was the host of a Disney TV show called Disneyland Showtime in 1970. It aired just 5 days after he turned 19. The Osmond brothers were on the show, and the Haunted Mansion ride was shown for the first time. He gets lost, Donny Osmond. Kurt shows him and the crowd around the park. They played rides and sang songs, bringing Disney magic to people's living rooms all over the United States. IMDb gave the show a 9.110 rating, and Kurt became the face of Disney's family image. Kurt's time at Disney came full circle in 1981. In The Fox and the Hound, he did the character of Copper the Hound Dog. There were sad parts and happy parts in the movie. In the scene where Copper tells Todd they can't be friends anymore, Kurt gave Copper a soft, rough voice. Getting Elvis kicked was a long way off. This was his last big Disney job. It was the last Disney animated movie from the old age, and the start of a new one. It was the last movie made by Disney's 9 old men, and it was also the first project for famous people like Tim Burton and John Lasher. Internal problems made the movie take over 6 months longer than expected, but Kurt's performance never changed. Kurt Russell used to be just the kid in It Happened at the World's Fair who kicked Elvis Presley in the shin. No one knew at the time that he would grow up to be Elvis on screen. He was only 12 years old. It did happen that way in 1979, though. Russell played the lead in John Carpenter's TV movie Elvis, which came out just over a year and a half after Elvis's death. If you watched it on February 11, it got a lot of views. At the same time, it did better than both Gone with the Wind and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Elvis was the 6th most watched show in the United States that night. Russell wasn't just Elvis, he was Elvis. Because of it, he was nominated for an Emmy, and Hollywood changed how they saw him. Stop being a Disney kid. He was now a real star. The movie didn't even cost a lot of money to make. Only $2.11 million. But it was a big deal in Australia. It took only 3 weeks for a shorter version to make $350,000 at the box office. Russell's whole career changed because of an honor that started out as a tribute. Things got really crazy after that change. A bad guy named Snake Plissken, who wears eye patches. The movie Escape from New York came out on July 10, 1981, making it only cost $6 million, but it made over $50 million around the world, and $25.2 million in the US. This wasn't a happy big movie. It was dirty, dark, and shady. Still, people loved it. Snake, he became famous. It was all there. Kurt Russell's rough voice, the one-liners, and the anti-hero swagger. Some people paid attention. Newsweek said that Carpenter did a great job of putting Russell in a part that was a great fit for him. After 15 years, Snake came back to get away from law. But Russell's place in the Action Hero Hall of Fame was already set by that point. He broke away from everything Disney about him at this point. He was no longer just a guy in kid flicks. In a dark, grown-up world, he was the star. Snake sparked imitators and became a movie icon of rebellion. Russell also proved that you don't need a huge budget to make a hit. It was just a matter of finding the right story, tone, and star actor. But not every project went as planned. Carpenter and Russell worked together again on The Thing in 1982. $15 million was spent on it, and $1.5 million went straight to Rob Bottin's The Creature effects. It looked like it would be a hit on paper. It turned out to be a disaster. It came out 2 weeks after E.T., and while Spielberg's Alien made kids want to hug each other, The Thing broke people up. The crowd wasn't ready. Only $19.6 million was made around the world, just over its budget. People didn't like it. They said it was bloody, cold, and mean. In one review, someone even said it lacked love in a bad way. Carpenter was fired from his next job. It almost put an end to his career. But things changed over time. People began to understand it over time. All of the fear, loneliness, and stress made sense in the end, especially when the world became darker. At this point, The Thing is a great horror movie. But back in 1982, it was just a mess that left everyone hurt. Then there was a lot of trouble in Little China. Funny things, animals, magic, and martial arts were all in it. The company didn't know what to do with it, though. The cost ranged from $19 million to $25 million. In North America, it only made $1.1 million. Another failure at the box office. The show did work this time, though. People who tested it loved it. In the beginning, people were going crazy. The company did mess up, though. The people in charge at Fox didn't get how to mix action and comedy. Their ads only talked about Russell's character, Jack Burton, and didn't say anything about the movie's tone. It was even worse that it came out in the summer of 1986, right after Aliens. What chance did it have? In the end, Russell and Carpenter said, "The studio killed it, but home video saved it." Big Trouble in Little China is now a cult classic. People found it, loved it, and never let it go. It shows that a bad marketing strategy can kill a movie's chances of making it to the big screen, but not its place in pop culture. Kurt Russell was more than just a movie star by the early 1990s. You could always count on him. That is why the story about Tombstone is so shocking. It stopped making things in 1993. Kevin Jair, the first head, was fired after 1 month. Even though George P. Cosmos took over, stories have it that Russell was the real boss. Insiders say that Kurt gave Cosmet specific shot lists every night. He made all the calls, but someone else got the money. The actor Val Kilmer, who played Doc Holliday, didn't hold back. He said Russell was the only one responsible for the movie, and that he pretty much gave up his own part to save it. Russell never said for sure, but he did tell Rolling Stone, "If I hadn't been there, Tombstone wouldn't have either." That says a lot. It made $73 million in Europe and $56 million in the US. 2 million people around the world on a $25 million budget. It was better than Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp in every way. It's said that Tombstone was the biggest hit ever directed, by someone who didn't even get credit for it. At the same time, there was a love story. In 1978, they met while making the TV movie Elvis. Priscilla Presley was played by Susan Hubley, and Elvis was played by Kurt Russell. Their spark on screen quickly turned into something real. They got engaged in less than a year. They got married on March 17, 1979. But no one knew about it. The press thought they were just good friends. If you asked Kurt if they were in love, he would say it was like asking if two workers fell in love over a toilet. Of course, they did it to hide the fact that they were married behind closed doors. Hubley wasn't new to season. She was already a well-known actress thanks to movies like La Madonna, The 20th in 1973. After that, she was in Escape from New York and Vice Squad. But even for Hollywood, the time it took for them to go from meeting to getting married was very fast. But what really made them stand out was how different they were. Susan called herself a complete liberal. Astrology and Eastern thought were important to her. But Kurt was a proud conservative who didn't care about religion at all. She said they were so different that they couldn't even agree on anything. She really meant it. During their marriage, they lived in different places. She stayed in Los Angeles' Laurel Canyon, and he did the same in Aspen, Colorado. That didn't happen very often in the early 1980s, but they knew it wasn't a good fit. They kept going, though, and even had a child together. Then February 1983 came along. Then everything changed. Kurt and C's said they were breaking up. A few days later, Kurt saw Goldie Hawn again. He had met Hawn years before but hadn't talked to him in a long time. It couldn't have been a stranger time. After ending his marriage, he began a new friendship that would last for many years. He was drunk when he saw Goldie again, according to Kurt, and his pickup line was, "Man, you got a great figure." It worked in some way. They broke into Gold's house, which was being fixed up, because she didn't have the keys on their first date. While they were making out, the cops caught them and made them run to a hotel. At the time, Kurt was still formally married to Susan, even though they were no longer together. Everything was a mess, and it felt like Hollywood. Their official start date was February 14, 1983. They had dinner, went swing dancing, and then ended up back at the house they were fixing up that same day. This time, it was the start of a more than 40-year love story. The press couldn't help but guess because their time was so close. Had Kurt and Goldie been dating before they got divorced? Kurt and Goldie joined their families together by the end of that same year. He brought his 1980-born son Boston with him. Goldie was married before and had 2 children. Oliver was born in 1976, and Kate was born in 1979. Oliver and Kate were finally adopted by Kurt, even though their real father, Bill Hudson, was still alive. The family and their money grew very quickly. Their mixed-race family was worth more than $50 million by the middle of the 2000s. Then Wyatt came along. He was born on July 10, 1986. He was the only child Kurt and Goldie had together. When he came along 3 years after their first date, he was the apple of their eye right away. But he went by both names, Wyatt Hawn Russell. That would not have happened if they were married and Goldie had changed her last name. His birth wasn't just about family. It was a gift. Today, Wyatt is doing the same things they did. He even stars with his dad in the Apple TV show, Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. Even with all the drama, this is the most surprising part of their story. They never got married, not after 5 years, not after 10 years, not even after 40 years. These two people both went through hard divorces, Kurt's with Season and Goldie's with 2 ex-husbands. So they made a choice. No wedding, no papers, just a promise. They might have saved $10 to $20 million in possible divorce payments by making that choice. They even asked their 4 children if they wanted to get married around 1993. They all said no. The family was fine the way it was. Goldie's math behind their happiness was even stranger. She said that they spend 68% of their time together. Not 70% or 50%, right on 68. That means they spend about 114 hours a week together and 54 hours apart. It's very exact, but it did the job. That room gave Kurt time to work on restoring old cars, and Goldie time to work on her health and meditation projects. It kept things interesting. It's become the norm for them to get divorced, even though 52% of famous marriages end in divorce. Kurt Russell didn't get to be worth $110 million by himself. He worked on it for movies, real estate, flying, wine, and old cars. About $70 million was made from his acting alone. It began with Disney parts in the 1970s and ended with the Marvel hit Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He made $8 million just for that part. Even though he's not in the news as much, he still makes $24 million a year, mostly from royalties from Netflix, Disney Plus, and other sources. He makes between $250,000 and $400,000 a year, just in residuals. Money that stays the same, but real estate was the real power move. This is the house that Kurt and Goldie bought in 2004. It's 6,389 square feet and cost $412 million. It was worth $6.9 million by 2025. That's a 67% gain. The house was not only big, but also very fancy. There is a spa, a pool, a dry sauna, a Pilates room, and even a place for Goldie to meditate. In 2018, they put it on the market for $7.25 million to $25 million, which showed that they weren't just owners but also planned sellers. In full view, their real estate business is worth more than $21.5 million. Their mountain home in Aspen cost $8.5 million. Their loft in Manhattan cost $3.8 million. And their house in Vancouver cost $2.3 million. That last one wasn't just for fun. It was to help their son Wyatt with his sports career. For easy training, they even bought a house built in 1921 in Vancouver's First Shaughnessy between 2002 and 2005. People used to say that house was the most beautiful in the city. 10 stoves were built for only $40,000 back then. The wine comes next. He didn't just put his name on a label and leave. He helped make the wine too. He began making goji wines with a real farm team, not a factory run by a company. To figure out how everything worked, he even slept on their couch. The brand has made between $2 and $3 million since it began in the late 2000s. His 2012 Chardonnay, Goldie, wasn't just a bottle for show. It was praised at food events and helped raise more than $10,000 for charity. His collection of cars isn't huge, but it's strong. A 1934 Ford 3W window car named Hot Licks that has been fully customized stands out. It has everything. A supercharged 3,550 CI, V8 engine, Recaro seats, strength, and more. It's worth up to $300,000. Everything was written down when it went up for sale. Pictures, labels, and papers. When you think like an investor, that's how you should handle antiques. Russell loved a lot of things, but not just engines. He has a license to fly. He has flown the Rockwell Commander, the Cessna 414, and even a Starduster aircraft for almost 30 years. He was born and raised to fly. It was his grandfather who flew test flights for Howard Hughes. Not only did they love flying for fun, they did it for a reason. He has worked with Wings of Hope, a charity that sends medical planes to 10 countries' most remote places. It helped almost 73,000 people just in 2019. Russell's more than just a famous person. He is a member of the Council by Honor, put forward twice for the Nobel Peace Prize. Charity Navigator also gives the group a perfect score. It also fits. Kurt said that actions were more important than words. His views were also shaped by that belief. He shocked everyone in Hollywood in 2015 when he said he was a hardcore libertarian. Not just a libertarian. He read books by America's founding fathers and even went to events put on by the Cato Institute to learn more. He cares about human freedom, small government, and free markets. But here's the catch. He has strong beliefs, but he doesn't want to use his fame to spread them. He said in 2020, "We are court gestures. We shouldn't tell people how to vote," but he doesn't hold back when it comes to guns. In a 2015 interview, he said, "If you think gun control is going to change a terrorist's point of view, you're out of your mind." He owns guns, shoots game, and supports the Second Amendment strongly, not just in private, but also in talks with people across the country, even when gun control was a hot topic under Obama. Russell is one of the most unusual people in Hollywood because he collects rare cars, makes wine, invests in real estate, flies planes, and challenges political rules. The Aviation Mentor Award was given to him at the Living Legends of Aviation event in 2009. There were 1,000 people in the room. Buzz Aldrin and Tom Cruise were also winners that night. Russell criticized President Obama in his speech and told him, "You need to be an aviator." Wyatt Russell wasn't always meant to be an actress. He first went after a very different dream, becoming a professional hockey player. He was born on July 10, 1986, but after getting hurt a lot and having to quit skating, he chose to give acting a real chance. After all, he was the son of Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, which is a famous last name. But he decided to work hard for his own place in Hollywood, and it paid off. In 2021, when he played John Walker in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney+, he had his big break. This fighter wasn't like most of them. He wanted to be Captain America, but over time he turned into something darker. Wyatt did a great job with it. He was torn, intense, and human. It got him recognition all over the world and cemented his place in the Marvel Universe. In 2025, he came back in Thunderbolts, which made $372 million around the world. Not bad for someone who first wore skates instead of tights. Wyatt has never said he did it all by himself, though. People talk about Nepo babies and stuff, and you're like, is it 1,000 times easier? He said in an interview in 2025. Okay, don't you get it? Still, most reviewers agree. A lot of famous directors are calling him now, because he's not just a family member, but also a real talent. Wyatt is working on a secret sci-fi project, and will also be in Avengers: Doomsday. His future in movies doesn't look like it can be stopped. Of course, the Russell Hahn family has a long history in Hollywood. Kurt Russell raised Wyatt, but he also became a father figure for Kate Hudson. When Kate was only 4 years old, her real father, Bill Hudson, stopped being around after his divorce from Goldie in 1982. But Kurt didn't just play a part, he became the dad she needed. Kate made that clear when she named her son Ryder Russell Robinson in 2004. The middle name wasn't a coincidence, it was a tribute. Kate has been very open about how much Kurt meant to her as a child. On The Howard Stern Show, she said, "When you have a father like Kurt who's kind of been there for the hard stuff, the trust that I got from him in terms of his dependability was just priceless." Kurt offered Kate a part in his movie, Escape from Law, when she was 16. She turned him down, not because she didn't want to act, but because she didn't want people to think she got the part because of him. I asked her, "Do I want to be known as Kurt's daughter who got this role?" And she said, "No." Years later, they finally worked together in Deepwater Horizon in 2020. For Kate, it wasn't just another job. It brought back the spark that made her love acting in the first place. On Father's Day 2023, she sent him a message that said it all. She wrote, "He has taught me that we can all exist with immense love through our differences. But Kurt Russell's life isn't just movies or being a parent. At 74, he's still chasing the skies. Flying isn't just a hobby for him, it's his passion. He's been doing it since 1988 and has FAA licenses for both single-engine and multi-engine aircraft, as well as instrument ratings. His grandfather was a master aerobatic pilot who flew over 45,000 hours and worked as a test pilot for Howard Hughes, and a senior check captain for TWWA. Kurt has flown a Rockwell Commander, a Cessna Crusader, and even a sleek Pajot Avanti 180. But his Starduster biplane is his favorite. He takes flying seriously and does it a lot. He flies under instrument rules even when he doesn't have to keep his skills up. Flying has taught me more about myself than anything else I've done. He once said, I take very calculated risks. I'm not a daredevil because I've done too many acts for movies and TV shows. He joined One Flight International, a private aviation service known for its speed and flexibility, in 2021 and paid for it. He liked that they gave him access to over 75 different aircraft with just a 10-hour call-out window. That level of control appealed to someone who has always put a high value on being ready. His contributions to aviation have been recognized. At the Living Legends of Aviation ceremony, he was given the Aviation Mentor Award. He is also on the board of Wings of Hope, a group that organizes humanitarian flights.